In this video, I'm going to zero in on this artwork here in the desktop version of Adobe Illustrator. This art started out on the iPad and I drew it in black and white, kind of like this in pieces, and then brought it into Illustrator, did a lot of expanding and coloring. And I want to show you one part of this whole process. And this is something that I was talking about in my community today. And it was just a really interesting discussion. So I wanted to show you how to expand something like this. So let's look at how I created these flowers in the first place. If I click on this, you can see this is a radial repeat. So this is something that you can do on the iPad, and you can also do it on the desktop version of Illustrator. So if you create a petal, go up to the object menu and then go down to repeat and choose radial. You can see what this does. It just gives you circles like this, how many ever you want, overlapping, and then you can play around with that. So when you have art like this, it's inside of this radial repeat object. I'm just going to make a copy of this because we're going to expand it. And I want to show you why you would even want to expand it. So first of all, if you want to, change the color of something, this is actually just one petal here repeated. So when I double click on it to go into isolation mode, if I say come here and then change the color, it changes the color of everything because this is just one object repeated over and over again. And so to do anything further with this, I really need to expand it. And I'm going to expand it. And by the way, this circle in the middle is not part of that object. So I'm going to just select the radial repeat and then go up to the object menu and down to expand and then click OK. These are just the defaults. Now what I have is a group, and then if I double click on this to go into isolation mode, I can show you that this group is made up of these petals, but we can change them. We could make them all different colors if we wanted. I'm going to double click again to get inside this group, and you can see this is two petals layered up on top of each other. So that's how this is built. Now I'm going to double click to get out of isolation mode, and I'm going to fix this messed up overlap here. So if you want all the petals to be overlapping in one direction, you'll see it stops right here, and that's just because this is a radial repeat. So each one overlaps the next, and one of them always has to be on the bottom. You can flip the direction, but it never gets rid of this problem right here. So how we can fix this, and I thought this was funny because when I was demonstrating it today, somebody suggested using the shape builder tool, and I was like, oh, well, that really does work. I don't know why I hadn't thought of that. So what I've done here, and that was on the iPad, but here I am on the desktop. And with the shape builder tool, you just get it right here, select your object, and then and I use the shape builder tool all the time. I'm just going to drag there to make this look like it's overlapping. And I need to drag right here to sort of fix that. And I need to drag right here. I think all of this is so confusing when you get close, not knowing which part is which. And then I'm going to drag right there. Okay, great. So now I have fixed, let me back out here, just going back to my selection tool. I've fixed that overlap problem. So just with a few little strokes there. Now I'm going to go and ungroup this, and I just want to show you what we have. So this petal that I just cut, it looks like that, but this petal is normal. This petal is normal. You can see there's no cuts in there. So every other petal here is just fine. This is the only one here. And then this one has gotten a little messed up there too. So let me go ahead and fix that and I'm just nudging these petals out by an inch using my arrow keys on my keyboard. All right, so I'm going to get to the shape builder tool again. Shift M is the keyboard shortcut. And then I'm just dragging here. And then I want to drag from the orange to this edge to complete that. And now, this is a nice looking petal like all the others. And then we just have this one over here that's cut. Okay, great. So now we've prepared this and we're going to do the next step, which is expanding this further. And there's several reasons you may want to do this. It all depends on the art, but let me look at this in outline mode. You can see Command or Control Y. You can see how, there's all these overlapping shapes in here. And I kind of want to get rid of that. And the reason is so that I can have art that in the end looks like this. So I've got, just the strokes separate, which allows me to do some other things here. So if I had the strokes separate, I could apply a brush, or I could do something fun with the background, or I could do this little bit of sort of off register look there. So separating the fills and the strokes sort of opens up some other possibilities here. And I have kind of a tricky way of doing it. I've showed this before on YouTube, but I think I need to keep showing it because it's one of those things that's kind of hidden. So I can't just get the strokes from this flower here by coming over, selecting it, and let's say we're going to make the fills all set to none because of all that overlap. So that's why I've got to go to some extra trouble here to make this happen. Let me undo that. So the tricky way to do this is to make it a live paint group. So I'm going to go up to the object menu and then down to live paint and then make. Okay, and you can tell it's a live paint group now because it has these sparkly big bounding box handles. And then I can expand it either by clicking the button on the top control bar, or I can just go right back to that same menu. If you want to come here, you can go to live paint and expand. There are many ways to expand, but that's all you got to do there. So you make the live paint group and then you expand the live paint group. And this has separated the strokes from the fills. So I'm going to go ahead and ungroup this, Command or Control Shift G. And you usually have to do this a couple of times, but I wind up checking because you see I ungrouped it one too many times and now I have, the strokes are not in a group. So let me just do a Command or Control Z and let's see if that's, yes. Now I know I've got the right level of ungrouping here. So we have our strokes separate here, and then we have our fills separate here. But there's something going on here. So these, as you can see, all of these little regions here are individual shapes. So this is just the kind of thing that happens if you're using live paint. Sometimes some of the Pathfinders that you choose will do this, like Divide. And the Shape Builder tool does this too. It's just kind of the nature of those tools to cut everything like this. So you can select all of this, go over to the Pathfinder and use this Pathfinder right here, Merge. So when I click this, watch what happens. It gets much more simple. So if I look at this in outline mode, I don't have any of those overlapping paths there. I have one shape for the center. It's merged everything by color. So everything that's purple is one shape, everything that's orange is its own shape, like that. So this makes it just a little bit easier to work with. And now we have that expanded flower. Now, jumping back to the whole design here, I want to show you something with this flower right here. So I'm going to zoom out and go back to where I was working. And I have this other flower here, and I want to show you a way of expanding it. So I went ahead and created an action to do this. So everything that I just showed you, all those steps are here inside this action. We expand, we make a live paint group, we expand it, and then there's a stop, which tells me to select something. And then the next step, it selects the same fill color of the thing I just selected, and then it does a Pathfinder merge. So it's nice to have an action for something like this because if you're doing a whole bunch of these, it can get to be tedious. So let me just move these aside because we're going to have to do each row one at a time. So I'll start with this ring right here, and I'll go ahead and press play. And you can see a little pop-up opens, and I wrote these instructions here. So this is a great thing that you can do whenever you have to maybe make a selection in your art. Add a stop. That's something that you can do in this menu right here. The options flyout, it's called insert a stop, and then you can write some instructions to yourself. So this says click OK, and then isolate the object, and then with the direct selection tool, select one white filled shape, and then press play again to continue the action. So I'm going to click OK. Let me zoom in a little bit here, double click on this to isolate it, use my white arrow to select one of these little white shapes in here, and then press play. And it's going to continue the action by selecting the same fill color, so every other white shape in there, and then merging them together using the Pathfinder. So now when I double click to get out of isolation mode, I can come here to this shape, and it's just one shape like this. So I can give it a color, put it back, like that. Okay, let's do the others because the action does make it a lot faster. So I'm just pressing play, clicking OK, double clicking, selecting some white, clicking play, and that one is done. I'll go ahead and do this one, and obviously to not fix that overlap there, let's go ahead and push play, OK, double click to isolate, get a white shape, and press play again, and that is done. Now let me back out. And let's get some colors on this just so we can see the difference. I'll pick another color from the color panel here. Okay, and then I'll just nudge them back into place like that. So that made, this process a lot faster. And that just means I've got more time to work on making a pattern for it. So hopefully if you know something about making actions, just having this maybe zoomed in on, you can see how you can make it. You can actually see the little direction there. If I double click here on stop, you can see what that looks like here. So you just type that message in. I'm going to click cancel. And this is the command where you get that. So when you're creating your action, just insert a stop. It's grayed out right there, but that's where you would put that in there. And the rest I have to leave you to figure out, or else this video would get really long. But I hope this has been helpful for you. My name is Laura Coyle. I teach Adobe Illustrator here on YouTube and in my online learning community. And this was the topic of our Zoom call today. So we had a lot of fun working on this artwork, looking at the iPad, but there were some tips in here I wanted to share with the audience here on YouTube. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.